you ready to go? Yeah. All right, it's 5:30, so we'll call the Parks and Rec Committee meeting for June in order. For roll call, we have everybody here except for Alder Ruckelberg, who is excused. And then so we'll move on to public comment. Is there anybody here that would like to speak on anything germane to the Parks and Recreation Committee? Going once? Going twice? Miles, you want to speak? Anything about parks? No? All right, here's the opportunity. Okay, anybody online? Oh, I don't think Zoom's on. Still more time, Miles. Any equipment you want to see? Okay. Then public comment is closed. We don't have any presentations on the docket for tonight, so we'll move on to the consent agenda. Is there anybody that wants to remove anything from the consent agenda? Seeing none, then I'll be looking for a motion to approve.
So moved.
Okay, approval, motion by Alder Norrell
Second.
and a second by Alder Bry. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
And passes unanimously. So we'll move on to our discussion and action items. The first item is 26-0560, updates on park projects. And Brock, go ahead.
Good afternoon. So we just thought with having a few park projects started and a couple coming up soon, that we give a good update just on where we're at with these and how things are going. So I am going to save Red Arrow for last. So Silver Creek Stream Restoration. So this is a project we've been trying to get going since I started. So 2021. I remember we took a walk out along the stream and there's some really bad erosion on the banks, and I was with a consultant and I said, how can we get this done? And she thought, we could find some grants, we could do this fairly well without really impacting the city's budget. So fast forward 5 years later, we have $945,000 in grant funding for this project. So we spent some of that on design and permitting and all those things. We're at the point where we did put this out for bid. We got a favorable number back. So $654,000, I believe, was our bid amount. So that was, well within what we were looking for. There may be some other costs for maybe permanent restoration, things like that. So and construction management costs. But at this point, we are going to start constructing in June 20th. So the week of June 20th. You might wonder why so quickly. Well, our construction window on a Great Lakes tributary is July 20th.
Yeah, I was going to say, that was last week.
July 20th. So why so quickly? Our window of construction is June 15th. That's where I got June from, I suppose. June 15th to September 15th. So on a Great Lakes tributary with the fisheries people, they do not want anything outside of that window because of spawning and all those things. So yes, we are starting July 20th and we're hopefully being done around September 11th. We have a pretty good meeting today. Sounds like with some things going on, we may be able to even tighten that window, get done sooner. So we're not worried about that. September 15th. So yeah, so that's exciting. Very exciting. So the Lincoln Park Zoo Wetland Aviary. This is a project too that's been going on for a while. Construction of it has been ongoing. At this point, we are waiting for the delivery delivery of our boardwalk pieces. So that has been our delay through the bid. The boardwalk was designed, it went out to bid, the people who make the boardwalk, the subcontractor, they just kind of didn't do it quickly. So our plan, from our general contractor is that this will be done prior to July 18th, which is the Zoological Society's grand opening event, a zoo walk where they walk within the aviary, show it off, and then throughout Lincoln Park and beyond. So we are still on schedule, well, we are behind schedule, but we are on schedule to be done prior to that event. So fingers crossed that works out well. The next project, the Miracles Park Export Skate Park Phase 3 development. This is a private-public partnership with our skate park group. They went out and they got a grant from the West Foundation to help fund this, and they raised another $20,000 to give us a home. And the city graciously, council budgeted another $100,000 match. So with that funding, that project went out for bid. That will start. We will start with deconstructing those ramps this weekend. So ACE has donated some labor, along with the skate park group. They're going to take apart those wooden ramps, old wooden ramps, and the fencing. They're going to take the fencing down as well. And then mid-July, July 20th, I believe, is when the contractor for the skate park will come and start developing these ramps. It's kind of an artsy thing. It's not a whole lot of plans to it, which makes me a little bit nervous, but they've done it before. They've done it. He was talking. It's art. You know, they got to figure out how this ramp rides to this ramp and so on. So I guess that'll be starting soon too with the end of August finish date. So that'll happen fairly quickly as well. So then our last project, Red Arrow Park. So we are on track for opening next week prior to July 4th. Asphalt paving starts tomorrow. Once that's done, it's going to look fairly finished. There's some pavers that have to go in the event space, some showers that may or may not be in time, but for the most part, this project will be open and finalized next week. A few outstanding items, including railings. So the contractor couldn't order railings until the steps were built. There's a custom railing, and we didn't want to hope that the steps were built perfectly to plan, and then buy railings would have not fit. So there will be temporary railings, which will not probably look the prettiest, but they'll be there. So safety-wise, it will be good to go next week. So in regards to the open air shelter that we presented last one at this meeting, we did excavate for that, for the footings. Our goal was to get the footings in underneath the event space. In the future, we can build this shelter with that funding. So we excavated some more. We had a geotech on site testing soils. We knew that the soils were a little bit loose, but we figured, and our previous geotech testing showed that it would be okay. Structural engineers had something designed that would fit our soils that were supposed to be there based off of previous testing. Well, the on-site geotech, who was sampling every foot that we went down, was not finding the proper soil. So we went down all the way to the native soils. We're probably 8 feet down, 10 feet down, which is also adding cost as you go deeper from the footings. That's where they found soils that would work, but we were right at the water line. So at that point, we realized this design probably not feasible at this point. We filled in the hole, we built the event space over the top. So that's all going to be done for next week. But the initial plans for the shelter, putting underneath the event spaces, not there. So we are planning to hopefully pivot. This is kind of where I wanted some input from this group towards something that was brought up by Alder Dunbar last month, was our open air shelter, bathroom building, expanding that, making that better for this space. So we are looking at, we have some
All right, thank you for the update, Brock. I appreciate it. Are there any challenges with the first one? I'm just going to mostly focus on the Red Arrow project part. I mean, the Silver Creek seems like it's self-explanatory. It's early, obviously going to start. The skate park is, same aspect, probably pretty good there. With the Red Arrow piece of it, it's good that we found out early, obviously, in the project, that obviously you'd have to pivot on that open air shelter piece of it. I do think that pivot, though, going to the pavilion area with the outdoor space where you're talking and rehabbing that whole building. I mean, personally, if we can, do that, if the building is structurally sound, and then, obviously your dollar probably goes further on a remodel, if it's fully structurally sound and we can get it to look amazing the right way, I think that's a great pivot, honestly. And then we weren't gonna get that open air shelter done this year, I don't think, anyway, but there's a chance you could maybe pivot and get that other piece done this year, that way, at least I'm assuming. So I think that's a great pivot, and it gives you time then to figure out where you wanna go with the shelter or that open air piece, and we go from there. So that's my 2 cents on that, but I'll yield to the rest of the committee. Alder Dunbar.
Yeah, first off, way too close to that. Sorry, I'm a loud person anyways. First off, I want to say thank you to the city and to Brock and the Parks Department for the skate park. Having citizens come in, the Hugs crew, the skateboarding group come up and, hey, this is something we want. And I know how hard you guys work together, and I know it's been a very interlaced fingers sort of a thing with them. But I just want to say thank you for listening to citizens and, moving in a direction people wanted to see. I think it was a great way to show what the Parks Department can do when, you have a dedicated group of people that want to get something done that betters the community. So thank you. For Red Arrow, as I kind of brought up before, as you mentioned, I think that renovating or fixing up or modernizing, whatever the word we want to use, the existing building is the right way to go. Spend, I don't want to say as little money as we can, obviously there's an appropriate amount, but spend that money into it, and then we're like, hey, 5 years down the road, we're like, this place is slammed every weekend, somebody's wanting to rent this, or it's packed and all that, then we look at maybe starting over and building something bigger. But yeah, I would definitely support and would like to see that shift.
Any other feedback? No? All right. That's it for the updates then? All right, no action needed for that. Well, you have actions, obviously, so here, carry on. The next item is 26-0561, X Sports Donation Tube Request Phase 3 Skate Park Project. And that's, I'm assuming, to go and proceed forth with whatever monies that donation tube has to put in towards the project. I see no issues with that, but I'll let it up to you guys if you have any questions. Then we'll be looking for a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
You got a motion by Alder Dunbar,
Second.
second by Alder Norrell. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And passes unanimously. Pass that for signatures. Already got her. Next one's 26-0562, zoo donation tube request for bioactive vivariums. I think I said that right? Vivariums? Yeah? Well, come on down.
My name is Kelsey Kurtz. I'm the education zookeeper over at the Manitowoc Park Zoo. I've been there for a couple of years now. I'm requesting $1,000 from the donation tube so that I can update our education center exhibits to bioactive vivariums, meaning that each exhibit would be its own pretty much ecosystem. There would be cleanup bugs pretty much in the substrate that would clean up after the animals in the tanks, live plants to clean up after the bugs and provide humidity that $300 just on the substrate to clean and disinfect the tanks every year. So instead of spending that yearly, I can spend it all once and only have to clean the tank out when an animal passes, put a new animal in the exhibit. That's pretty much what I'm asking for. I did do a breakdown, which I believe got sent to you guys on exactly what I would need, how much each of it would cost. And then I kind of rounded up to the thousand to kind of adjust for different prices and stuff for.
All right, well, thank you for that. Educational session for me too, and I am by no means an expert in your job. And but I would assume then with that, that it would also be more healthy for the animals in there as well, given the fact that it would be a natural ecosystem essentially.
Yes, it would be healthier for our animals overall as well, because I do have some amphibians that it is better to not handle them as often. So having to take them out of the tank to be able to clean the tank, I wouldn't have to do that as often, especially since amphibians absorb through their skin. They can absorb the oils off my hands through their skin and it could make them sick overall. So if I can do these types of enclosures, it would make it less likely to handle, especially those more sensitive animals.
Sure. Which, if it's better for the animals, you got my support. So, I'll yield to the rest of the committee. Go ahead, Alder Dunbar.
Yeah, so like you brought up the 250, 300 annual. Another thing I just want to point out is you also put a little report, it takes about a week every year to do. So not only is it the $300, it's a 40 hours of labor as well that obviously will be getting back into the zoo and doing more support. My only question on this is, you have a breakdown, down to the penny and you round it up, but you only round it up a few dollars. I'm just wondering if it'd be easier to do 11 or 1,200 just in case something, and then that can be returned. I don't know if it can just be returned. I guess I'd rather, you get more than $14 and 31 cents of leeway, sort of a thing. So that's more my question is, do we need to do 11 or 1,200 just to make sure this goes off? I'd hate one tank to be like, well, we got to go through this whole process because Fred's tank, the frog's last tank couldn't get done due to what we have. So that's my only question on that.
Go ahead, Brock.
If we don't use all the money, like, we just do up to a certain amount and then it's just basing the two. We don't, you just rotate.
Right.
Every invoice we just, bill to the two and,
Perfect. Yeah, so that'd be my one thing is bump it to 1,200 authorized, just in case, like I said, I don't know, that $14 makes me a little weary that, we're gonna be back here next month asking for it again or something like that. So I'd rather authorize 1,200 personally.
Is 1,200 a good enough buffer, you think?
1,200 would be great. I do actually have another tank that I think somebody was looking to bring me, so I did not account maybe that one into my calculations. So yeah, 1,200 would be fantastic if you guys are willing to do that.
And
Okay.
Brock, do you think that 200's doable with the fund and all that? So,
I guess I gotta,
yeah, I saw your breakdown. I was wanting to make sure you see it a lot more than I do, so.
Yeah,
Good, Alder Dunbar.
I would agree with Alder Dunbar because typically in a project, you should put in probably 15 to 20% contingency anyways.
Yep.
So adding it up is perfect and I
Right.
think that's a great idea. Now, you said how many is this tank? How many does this do?
This will do the entire education center.
Okay.
So that is, good question. I would say 15 to 20 tanks off the top of my head.
So $50 a tank essentially.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So if you-
exactly.
If
So
you do get an extra tank and you come in, I think you'll be good at 1,200.
Yeah, agree.
One item could cause that $15 to evaporate.
Exactly.
So do you need a motion?
Yeah, so we will need a motion, and then to set, we'll say, so the motion would be to approve up to $1,200.
Yes, I'd make a motion to approve up to $1,200 of zoo donation tube money for the bioactive vivariums, if I said that correctly.
I second.
Okay, we got a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
And passes unanimously. I'll send that around for signatures. And that concludes all the business that was discussed. Anybody else got anything they want for the good of the cause?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Okay, got a motion to adjourn and a second. We are adjourned.
the ink?
Hey, no problem.
I know there's one in here somewhere.
Yeah,
I just can't find it.
when I saw you had 4 bags and all that, I was like, well, it's.
Yeah. Sitting there waiting. I mean, if you've ever been part of one of those, you sit in a room by yourselves, like you talk, and then you get together. And then you go back to your rooms, and you come back together.
Oh my
You go back to your rooms, and come back together.
No.
And you just wait, and you wait, and you wait.
Yeah,
And
I
then
can
you-
imagine, but I've not gonna lie, I probably wouldn't jump on that anytime
And
soon.
this one, they had 5 or 6 officers in there as well. So they're from the union bargaining side.
Yeah.